Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. Wanted to bring you an update on the 338 Lapua Magnum project, if you want to call it that. Basically just the rifle that I'm reloading for. But I'll show you some of the groups, some of the bullets that we've tried so far. So let's go over that first. Let's go over the components. So basically what we're working with is I purchased, this is way back when, some Lapua, some 338 Lapua mag, Lapua brand brass. It was, from what I understand, I don't know if it's brass that they manufactured for a another manufacturer in terms of, so I think somebody, I was digging around on the internet and somebody said that the head stamp meant that it was supposed to be for Barnes ammunition. I don't know. I ain't got a clue, but I know Midway was selling boxes of 100. You know, they do their bulk packaging. They were selling boxes of 100 of these guys for 77 bucks. So Lapua brand brass, you know, whether they're seconds or whatever, I mean, 77 cents a piece compared to, you know, almost $3 a piece. I think if you buy the legit Lapua, that kind of stuff, 338 Lapua mag, it's like $2.89 maybe for a box of 100, something like that. So almost $3 a piece or 77 cents a piece. Well, we went with the 77-cent option, and so far it's been great. I mean, it's extremely nice, high quality brass, so no complaints. I bought 3 boxes at the time, so I got 300 pieces for less than the price of a normal box of 100. So right now, my main focus is burning through, basically getting the 300 pieces fire formed, which that's just, it's a lot of components. It takes a lot of powder to shoot 300 rounds of 338 Lapua mag, but we're getting there. I think I've got 40, well, so these 25 plus another, I think I have 40 left after this. So I've got 65 rounds left. So we've put roughly 235 through the rifle so far. And I'll show you some of the groups. And it's varying powders. I mean, today I'm going to be loading with H1000. But that's the brass that we've been using. We've also, for the primers, it's been the Federal Gold Medal Match large Magnum rifle primers. That's what we've used exclusively. For projectiles, it's been, I don't know where the boxes have run off to. So it's been some Nosler Accubon, some 250 grain Nosler Accubon. That's my primer catcher redneck rig. Some Spear 225 grain, boat tail Spitzer point, some 300 grain Sierra Match Kings, 270 grain Hornady ELDX. That's basically what we've put through this rifle. And we'll just kind of go through some of the groups here. This was the Spear, the 225 grain. Now, go back and watch the other video I posted about this. These groups, yeah, they suck, especially up here, but that was because I got home from that particular range day and realized the scope base had come loose. So the base that the scope actually mounts to was loose, and I did not realize that until I got home. All right, so I was shooting pretty crappy with that. I just thought, well, that's not a good bullet powder combo. I was shooting the Spears with the Reloader 33, which is a really good powder to use for 338 Lapua mag. Delivers really good velocities. And I was like, well, that's just not a good bullet powder combination. My rifle doesn't like it. Well, I tightened up. So those groups were without me tightening up the scope base. Went back, tightened everything down, used some Loctite, got everything squared away. Came back, shot the next 4 groups, and it seemed to tighten up dramatically. So we went from, you know, these still not the best groups in the world, still kind of ugly, Definitely not what I was expecting. And then got up here to the top end of the charge weight range, and really it started to show out. So, I mean, you had that one flyer, but you stack 4 in there together, and then same thing, you follow it up with that. So that was promising toward the top end there. So that gave me hope. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm on the right track. Got that scope mount set up. We should be good to go. So then down here, these are some of the Hornady, the 270 grain ELDX. That kind of got tore up, but there's your 5 shots there. More 5-shot groups, hovering around an inch, and then, you know, that's overall measurement. That's outside to outside, so that doesn't subtract bullet diameter. And then, you know, had a flyer out here. But yeah, so that was the groups. This was using H1000 and the Hornady 270 grain ELDX. That was the charge that I've ended up working with. It was 91.6 grains of H1000 and the Hornady 270 grain ELDX. I picked that load. I was out of the spears, so I couldn't test anymore. I only had 50, and I shot all 50 of them with that first loading. I went back, shot 25 of the Hornadys just to try them out. I picked that middle charge there. Out of the 5, it was 91.6. So I picked that charge to sort of do some follow-up testing to see how it would shoot. And so that was a 10-shot group. I had some vertical stringing there, but that was the 91.6 grain charge. So not exactly impressed with that 10-shot group. Came back, that exact same charge, 2 5-shot groups, and we're under 3/4, you know, hovering around a half. So much better performance on these last 2 5-shot groups. If they would have been 10-shot groups, maybe we would have seen some more of the vertical stringing, but I didn't really take much of a break in between these groups in terms of time or whatever, letting the barrel cool down and all that. When I'm out at the range, I mean, especially this particular range trip, I think it was this range trip. It was on the weekend over at Swan Creek, close to Athens, Alabama, and now they've instituted new rules on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. They do a mandatory cold and hot call for the entire range. So it's several bays. You know, you've got varying ranges from, I think, like 20 or 25 yards all the way up to 100 yards. And they do a mandatory hot and cold call every 20 minutes. So every 20 minutes you have to go cold, give people time to go check targets, you know, whatever they need to do, you know, give it a few minutes, wait for everybody to get ready again, then they go back hot. So we didn't know that, and we had gotten there kind of in the afternoon, and they shut everything down at 6. And so I was kind of in a hurry to shoot all these groups. So it's not like I was jumping back from rifle to rifle. I kept switching back and forth to try to give it some type of time to cool down. But for the most part, I shoot fairly quickly. But pretty good performance there. Those were my last 10 rounds that I had for the 270 grain ELDX. I don't have any more of those to load up, but I'm definitely going to get some more based on that performance. That's pretty good. We'll just continue testing and make sure what we saw there is an accurate representation of what it can do. Now, so we've already talked about the spear. Also had the 250 grain Sierra Game King, and like I pointed out, the 250 grain Nosler Accubon. This is with IMR 7977. So I did a little comparison since those are two, hunting projectiles, the 250 grain class. Just kind of did those in a little bit of a head-to-head with IMR 7977. The Sierra shot way better. I mean, the Nosler groups are just god-awful. Again, I'm thinking just the powder combination. It's just not liking the powder combination that we put with it. So, I mean, you can see some of these groups are just pretty crappy. You know, when your best group is 1.5 inch, 5-shot group at 100 yards, it's just, yeah, that's not the performance you want out of a rifle with this type of price tag. And projectiles with that type of price tag for that matter. But the Sierras came in and performed, you know, better. We had one right there come in under 0.8 of an inch, 0.8 inches there. But overall, I mean, it wasn't anything spectacular. So I wasn't super thrilled about this performance with IMR 7977. I was hoping things would be a little bit tighter. So what I did, I took the 250 grain Game Kings, switched powders over to H4350, and came back. The max charge is 78 grains. So I just dropped in 0.2 of a grain. I didn't want to drop much. So not a huge spread there in terms of powder charge weight, but that's the max charge, and that was our best group overall. So pretty pleased with that performance. Things really tightened up at the top end using that powder, so it really liked that powder. However, I don't really plan on using H4350 as a go-to 338 Lapua powder. It takes so much. I mean, you're talking 78 grains. I mean, it takes so much powder just to even work up those loads. I would rather leave that powder, you know, to my 6.5 Creedmoor and just call it a day. So what I'm gonna do is switch to H1000 for the Sierras and see how they perform. That's actually what I've already done for the nozzlers, to see if we can get some better performance than this using a different powder. I've loaded up the H1000 and the nozzlers. All right, it's these guys right here. So, I mean, that's a mean looking round, but it's got to perform. I mean, it's definitely, you know, I haven't tried a whole lot of nozzler in my reloading career, if you want to call it that, but the nozzlers I have tried, I just haven't been overly impressed. I've shot really good groups with the 6mm 105 grain custom competition, the boat tail hollow points, and the 6mm Creedmoor. I did have pretty good performance with those, but outside of that, you know, like the nozzler partition here in the Grendel and Creedmoor, just, you know, pretty lackluster so far with the AccuBonds, and it could just be a bad powder combination. So we're gonna switch to H1000 and see if we can have some improvements there in the group size with the AccuBonds. So let's see what else. Oh, the Match Kings. Like I said, I mentioned the Match Kings. So we did shoot those, and we used Ramshot LRT, long range tactical. It was designed specifically for 338 Lapua mag, and I started at 97 grains of LRT, which is right here, and then 97.5. I jumped half grain increments. That's another 91.6 grain load, and Hornady 270 grain ELDX. It's another 5-shot group with that. But yeah, so that's 97, 97.5, 98. That, I don't know, that was just frustrating altogether. And then 98.5. So again, another frustrating group. And then 99 ended up being the tightest group that we shot, 99 grains of LRT, but still pretty disappointing when you're shooting, you know, the Match Kings, 300 grain Match Kings. I would much rather be stacking them in there at 100 yards. So we're gonna definitely explore LRT some more. We're gonna work up some more loads of that, but we've already got the H1000 out on the bench today, so we're gonna see, okay, different powder combination. What does that look like? So that's what we're going to roll with today. I've got 25 of these left. So we're going to load up 25 of the Match Kings using H1000. So that's it. Again, big range trip. Hopefully tomorrow. Got a lot of shooting I got to get done. Just plugging away, trying to get all this 300 or 338 Lapua mag brass fire formed. Want to try to get some 6.5 Grendel loaded up and shot. I've got some 30-06 that I've got to test. Some 308. We're working on 308 as well. So yeah, just a lot going on, but I wanted to bring you the results so far that we've seen from all the rounds that we've put down range for the 338 Lapua mag. So yeah, it's definitely, it's got its bright spots. I mean, we've got some really good groups. I mean, we've shot some really nice 5-shot groups, around the 1/2-inch range. We've shot some really nice groups with multiple bullets, and that's one positive thing that I'm taking away so far is that we've shot, the 225, the spear, we had good results toward the top end there. The 250 grain Game King, really good results. 270 grain ELDX, really good results. So it's good to see that we're utilizing multiple bullets, multiple powders, achieving really good results. So that's pretty promising if you ask me. But that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. We're going to try to get these nozzlers shooting better, and we'll go from there. So, alrighty. I think that's it. Hope y'all have a good one, and we'll catch you next time.